Endless Hustle presented by Four Laps. If you're looking for workout gear that lets you train anywhere, no matter the season, no matter the setting, Four Laps has your back. This brand is always innovating with styles that keep you cool, let you breathe, and stretch so you can really move. The latest collection features some pretty sharp styles that blend recyclable materials with technology that moves with you. Plus, you can get 20% off your first purchase with code BroBible20. Head over to fourlaps.com now. All right, we've got a great day on the Endless Hustle today as I'm joined by a guy I remember watching on American Idol many, many moons ago. He got a brand new album, children's book, a lot of great stuff happening, back on tour. David Archuleta, pleasure to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about it all. New album, tell me all about it.
New album. Well, I did an album last year in 2020. In the middle of lockdown is when it came out, interestingly enough, and it's called Therapy Sessions. And basically it was my therapy to write it. I mean, I was going to therapy as well, which is why most of those songs came to be. It was just a way to like get it out of my system after going to the actual therapy sessions.
So, okay. So you listen, as a songwriter, I totally get it. When you guys are and girls are writing songs, so much of it has to come from who you are. So as you're going through therapy, how are you able to take essentially what's happening there and then process it into music?
Interestingly enough, I felt like a lot of times writers' rooms, when you get into a room with other writers, it's almost like a therapy session because writers tend to like to talk about deep things in life and like all of your feelings and emotions and your problems. So it kind of was a very natural transition to go from like actual therapy rooms into writers' rooms. They're very similar as far as like how deep you dig into your soul and whatever crap you have inside. And just to release it, to get it out of your system. So that's why I feel like music is very therapeutic. And writing.
I'm going to turn back the clock to American Idol. That was like the height of American Idol. Like those first 10 seasons or so, everybody's watching American Idol, tens of millions of people. You almost end up winning the damn thing. As you're going through that experience, walk me through it. Take your mind back to you're advancing in the competition, you're getting to the final. Are you like, this is it? This is my breakthrough moment?
No. I think at that point, like my brain was just numb and like fried. And I don't think I even knew what was going on half of the time because there's just so much. We weren't sleeping. We were running around doing all kinds of stuff and still trying to learn our songs and arrangements and whatnot. And it was just, at that point, I think David Cook and I were both just exhausted. And we're just kind of like, it's almost over. We're almost done. But it was crazy. It literally didn't feel like it really happened because there's so much going on. It was just kind of like, huh? What just happened? You have all the lights in your face and then all the confetti comes down. And the one thing I do remember most was being in my dressing room after, and I was finally able to have a slice of pizza because singers try to avoid dairy. And my studio teacher knew how much I loved pizza and had a slice of pizza waiting for me. And I was so enjoying that slice of pizza. And
wait a minute, that's so fascinating. I've never heard about this dairy thing. Singers won't eat dairy?
Really? Well, you can, but it gives you a lot of phlegm. So to avoid the phlegm like that, like while you're singing, you avoid dairy products and like other stuff too. But dairy is the main thing. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean, now I'm like, anytime I had Greek yogurt earlier, and now I'm like, as soon as I have phlegm, I'm like, oh my God, is that from that now? Like, I'm going to totally get my own head.
I know yogurt's like a weird thing. Like for me, it makes my voice feel like dry or like it's kind of scratchy, but I mean, I still eat it.
What was fascinating, and again, as an old head, I remember this like it was yesterday. Cook ends up winning it, but I feel like you actually won it. Like you became the fan favorite. People were like all about you. And then you release Crush, which becomes a monster hit. at that point, are you at that point like, I made it? Like now it's like I have a hit single, people know who I am, like, or it's still kind of like, what the fuck's happening right now?
Yeah, I'm such a I feel like my mind is like so prone to go into negative thinking and worst case scenario that I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this just happened for like 5 seconds. And then like the rest of the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to keep up with this? Like, I'm never going to have a song this popular again, which I haven't. But I was like, people are going to think how am I supposed to live up to these expectations? Like now, am I supposed to dress differently now and act cool? Because I don't know what are you supposed to be as a famous person? And like, if people consider you well known, like, I don't know how to do that. Like they dressed me on American Idol. I didn't know how to dress up before then. And so I'm like, and interviews, like, how am I supposed to talk? Like I was the kid who usually hid from other people and like was a loner before. So like, how am I supposed to be cool now? Like, and so I think I was more worried about that stuff than actually just enjoying it, which I kind of regret now. But looking back, I'm able to enjoy it now, like 10 years later, and be like, well, that actually happened. Like you got to like interact with these kinds of people, do these shows, perform at these places, have success with this song and stuff. So it was just at the time, it happened so quick, and I was so scared of everything going on. I don't remember 2/3 of it. So
It's funny because people don't realize how tough fame is. Fame is, everybody wants to be famous, but then the moment you experience it, it can be an absolute horror story. And you're right, you're like paparazzi, or people are analyzing the t-shirt I wore, or my hairstyle sucks. You hear it all, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened? My life just got ruined, but this is what I wanted, I thought.
Yeah, it's hard because you have to be willing to now be exposed to everybody and to everyone's opinions and commentary on everything about you. And so you're supposed to be super happy. So like everyone's like, keep a smile on your face. You're supposed to be grateful that you're here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even have any clue any of this was going to happen, which I am grateful, but like, I don't know what to do with everyone watching me. Like, and you have to just let everyone have an opinion about every single thing about your life. Like, oh, that shirt doesn't look good, or why are you dressed that way? Or you look funny. Why is your breathing so loud? And oh, your dad, what's the drama with him? And it was just like so much. I was just like, I forgot what privacy was. Like, I forgot what that was like. And you kind of go crazy because you still feel obligated to share everything with other people. And so you're like, how do I balance this out? Now, after a while you find some sanity, but I don't know how other people who just have it for years and years and years go, like Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez, Taylor Swift, and all these other, Miley Cyrus, like you can't, it does make them go crazy. It makes all of us go crazy. Too much attention, too much of everybody else in your face.
Yeah, I just had Kelsey Grammer on the show right before you from, Frasier Crane and Cheers Frasier. And I mean, A-list actor for decades now. And he talked about how the moment he realized he had lost just innocence and had become famous was the National Enquirer wrote about him. And he's like, wow, everything they made up was wrong. But at that point I was like famous, and it was a loss of innocence for him. And I'm imagining that's kind of what you're describing, which is you kind of lose the innocence of what you were before. And now people give a shit. And you're like, half of it isn't true. A third is made up. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. And even if it is true, it's kind of like, oh, like you don't have pride. Cause like, I didn't tell anyone. How do they even know this about me? And, like when my parents were in the middle of like family issues or divorce and stuff, like it suddenly was on the news, and I'm like, how do they find this stuff? These are like court papers. And like, how did they get a hold of this? And things like that. But after a while, when I saw it affecting my family a lot, like I was like, man, they didn't ask for this. Like, I made the choice to audition for American Idol, but my family didn't ask for all this attention. And when I saw it affect them, I was just kind of like, man, like, is this really worth it? Like, sure, like you can reach out to a lot of people, but like my family is my most important thing in my life. Like I want to make sure that they're good. But I was going crazy. I was going a little crazy with the attention. I was getting anxious. And it just takes time to find that balance. But I kind of went like the other end. Like I took a full on break from music for like 2 years straight. And I went and was a missionary in South America from 2012 to 2014. And a lot of people thought I was nuts, but I was like, I am already going nuts in this fame thing and trying to keep up with it. And I'm like, why do I need to keep up with it if I'm feeling so stressed out and overwhelmed by it, just because it makes me look good in front of everybody? Like it makes me look cool. It makes me look popular. Makes me look happy to them. But I feel like I need to remind myself of what matters. And so when I went there, it was, I mean, I probably was a little crazy to go and do it, but it was the craziness I needed. Because to go from like, how many followers, how many albums am I selling, and how cool do I look? Am I around enough famous people in pictures to look like I'm somebody? To like, no one knows, hardly anyone knows who I am. I'm walking out in the middle of nowhere and teaching people how to pray and about God and just what I believe in. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so different from where I just was. But I was like, I felt like I found myself again, because I'm like, it was a reminder of like, I don't have to be famous and seen by everyone to feel like I matter and that I can be happy. And so, but I thought I did, up until that point, I was like, I need to be more famous. I need to have another famous song. I need to do this in order to keep being happy. And it is exhilarating. It's like super exciting. It's an adrenaline rush for sure. But like, adrenaline wears out of,
it's a drug.
quick.
I always tell people it's a drug. It's an insatiable hunger. It's a drug. And you're right. The moment, it's fascinating because the hardest thing to do is be successful and then go through the valley of failure afterwards. And no matter who you look at, the most successful of successes, look at Tom Cruise. He had his Oprah couch jumping moment and his career was over for a second. Then he becomes Tom Cruise again in Mission Impossible. So everybody kind of goes through the ebbs and flows. And I feel like longevity in the business is all about the people who can really get through the ebbs and flows and be the most steady through that all.
That's a very interesting point. That's a great point, actually.
I think this just turned into another therapy session. We're writing a song together now.
Yeah, I should have been writing down notes of what you're saying, the valleys.
Don't worry, I'll send a check. Or request for payment after this. I want to talk to you about the children's book. Where does that begin? Why children's book?
Children's book, I didn't even, it came from a song that I didn't even try to write. It literally came in a dream that I had one night. I try to, I'm a faith-based person, and I try to pray before I go to bed every night, but sometimes I fall asleep before that happens. And that happened one night. And in that dream, I was praying and there were chords playing in the song. And I was singing my prayer over these chords and just saying I was just talking to God, and all of a sudden he tells me, hey, I want you to get up and write this down. And I was like, but I'm sleeping. I don't think I know how to get up from a dream. And he said, if you don't get up now, you're going to forget it in the morning. And so I said, okay, I'll try my best. So I managed to get up and I went straight to the piano and just wrote it all down, played out the chords. And that was the only time I've ever written a song like that from a dream. I wish it was that easy all the time, but I didn't change anything about it because I thought I felt like it was given to me. And it was just prayer. And I didn't know, it took me a while before I released it, but I decided to, because I was like, maybe this will help someone know how to pray. Because when I was a missionary, the number one thing we did was teach people how to pray. And in Chile, a lot of people believe in God, a lot of Catholics, but they never had said a prayer in their life because they're like, I don't know how to talk to God. That sounds intimidating. And so we would teach them. And I was like, you know what, maybe this can be a way to just keep doing that, showing people how to have a conversation with God. And I was like, it would be so awesome to give this to my nieces and my nephews and if I have kids, my future kids, and teach them what it's like to have a relationship with God, teach them how to have a conversation. And the book is to do that, but it's also to help them know, like, you know what, you're not always going to get what you ask for. They're going to be disappointed sometimes, that things don't go how you hope for or what you asked for. And because you think, God can do anything. I'm going to pray and ask him all these things. And it's like, it doesn't always work that way. So that's kind of what the book focuses on. Like, hey, like, it's okay to have disappointments and you can still find joy. Even when it ends up differently than how you expected.
That's a great thought right there, and great concept. I love that. You had an Instagram post earlier this year talking about being part of the LGBTQ community, well received, very powerful. Walk me through the decision-making process, because coming out in any way has got to be such a challenge, especially when you have some level of celebrity status. When did that begin for you, and why did you make that decision?
So it actually began when I was a missionary, and I came out first to my mission president. And it was the first time I was actually honest with myself about what I was feeling, with who I was attracted to. And I was scared because I thought, oh my gosh, like, religion is a religious leader and a man are the last people who want to hear that I am attracted to guys, that I have feelings for dudes. But I don't know. I had a trust with him. He was a really good guy. He still is. I still keep in touch with him. And he changed my life, because instead of feeling like I was judged and like, oh, well, you should know better. And it's like, because it's like, he didn't try to correct me. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't try to do any of that. He just said, hey, I think this could be the most important day of your life, Elder Archuleta. And he just let me know that he loved me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, you mean I'm not going to be rejected and cast out and hated? Like, I felt like I was deserved to be hated, because apparently, like, from what I understood about religion and like being a Christian, it's not good to be gay. And well, I thought I was gay at the time there. Now I don't know, like some kind of spectrum of bisexual, but still probably leaning more towards guys. But it just like, I realized like, oh, I can still like believe in God, and God doesn't hate me for who I'm attracted to and my feelings for being gay. But I thought he always was, because apparently isn't that what Christian people do? Like, they hate on gay people, but that's not what God did to me. And that's not what my mission president. So I was like, okay, I'm confused now. Like, now what? But I came out to my family when I got back from Chile. And I kind of expected the same thing from them. Like, didn't know how they were going to. Luckily, like, my family is super cool. They just all gave me a hug and like told me they loved me and didn't say anything else about it. And then I like kind of kept hush about it, because I was like, well, maybe I'm not gay. Maybe I am. Because I just couldn't make up my mind, because I still would find girls attractive on occasion. So I was like, well, what does that mean? And here I am 7-8 years later, and I'm like, you know what, I just don't know. Because I thought like with diligence I could change myself, and if I like worked hard enough and I like kept praying and stuff, like maybe God can make me straight. And it got to a point where I was dating girls, I was in relationships, I was trying to talk to them about marriage and all that, and I would get the biggest anxiety. It happened like 3 times within that 8-year period. And I was just like, I'm broken. I'm messed up. I can't fix myself. Because a lot of people would say like, well, maybe it's a choice. You can choose who you love, and maybe the attraction doesn't matter all that much. And I was just like, I'm broken. And it got to a point this year where finally I probably had way too much time in therapy and alone time to think about it all in isolation and lockdowns. It got to a point this year where I was in another relationship. We were talking about like living our lives together and all. And I was just like, I don't want to see this person. I don't know why I'm so disgusted by the intimacy. I'm trying. She's a beautiful girl. She's great. She already knew I was bisexual. So like, okay, we're cool. But then I was just like, I can't do this. And it just feels not right. And I feel this anger bubbling up inside of me. I don't want this hatred and anger to come out in the relationship. And I could tell it was going there. And I was like, that's not a good relationship. It's just not going to end pretty. I've seen other people who have attractions, who try to make marriages work, and it ended really bad, and abusive. And I was just like, I can't do this to this person. They don't deserve that. And I just decided to end the relationship and just come out and be honest and say, you know what, I'm more attracted to guys than I am girls. And that was really hard for me, because I was like, I don't know what that means for me with my religion, and if I'm still going to be okay in my religion and stuff. But I decided to come out with the post because I was praying. I was like giving it one more shot. I was like, God, I was having a faith crisis. I was like, I don't even know if God's there anymore. I don't feel him. I feel so numb and empty. And I was like, God, if you are there, I know that you have power to do all things, and you can make water into wine, and you can change me. I'm like, please remove this flaw from me. And finally I heard him. And like, I had heard him when he told me to go audition for American Idol, or when he told me to go on a mission. He said, David, you need to stop asking me that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there he is. And he's like, you need to stop asking me to fix this flaw, because that's not how I look at it. And I was just like, I was kind of shocked, to be honest. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm pretty sure this is like your commandments. I can, and my church is pretty standard, like marriage is between a man and a woman. And so he just said, I don't see you the same way that other people see you. And you need to look at yourself with some more compassion, because I made you this way for a purpose, and you need to figure out why. And you need to have, and I was like, well, I just don't want to mess things up. And he's like, well, maybe you need to make what you think are mistakes, because it's not the same way that I see it. And I was like, okay, what kind of mistakes should I make? And he's like, well, I'm not going to tell you that. That's for you to decide. I gave you agency. But he said, basically, you need to figure out what are really mistakes and what aren't, because your perception of it is a bit construed just like a lot of other people. And I'm using you. I gave you your faith, and I gave you your physical sexual attractions for a combo for a reason, so that we can have this conversation. And I'm going to have you help with that. And I was like, man, I don't really want to have that conversation, because that is a super awkward place to be. But I was doing my yard work like a week later. I was outside, and all of a sudden I heard him again, and he said, David, you know I trust you, right? And I was like, yeah, I guess you do. And he said, I want you to post right now about what you're going through. And this is how I want you to say it. It was like, he made it easy. He told me what to say. It's just the easy part. The hard part, what wasn't easy, was having to post it. Because like, oh my gosh, I have a huge religious following, because I am religious. What are they going to think of me? Like, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this guy is two-faced. And then like the LGBT community, because I talked about religion, they're going to be like, why is he involving religion in this? They've traumatized us, and we have PTSD from all the religions trying to change us and our sexuality, and it never worked. But everyone was so cool. Everyone was so embracive and accepting on both sides. Not everyone, but like the general, even most people in my church, I was surprised at how supportive they've been, even in the leaders and stuff. And they just said, hey, just help us understand better where you're coming from. And that was like such a relief, because I was like, I know that hasn't been the case for a lot of other people who've come out. And so I just felt like is a tender mercy. And I'm like, I hope I can just make it easier for other people who are in the same place, like in between these two worlds of being LGBT and part of a religious community, to make it easier for them to have that safe space to talk to their families. I had so many people DM me after, like saying, oh my gosh, I thought I was alone. I thought there was something wrong with me. I didn't know how to go about this. I had parents messaging me saying, maybe I should have gone about this differently with my kids. my child who came out to me because we weren't okay with it, or they're just saying my kid just came out to me last week, and I'm surprised to see that you talked about this, but it helped me look at it differently. So I was like, you know what, I think I don't have the answers. I don't know everything on how to balance this all out, but at least I can bring conversation. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out my sexuality, my relationships and all that. But people always think, for religious people, for any religious people, it's like being gay doesn't mean sex. It doesn't always mean I'm going to live a promiscuous life. And maybe some people do and experiment that, but that's not how I go about it. And a lot of people are like me. They're still trying to figure out how to, find a balance. And it doesn't mean you're just going out sleeping with everybody all of a sudden. You just want to bond and connect with people. And for some reason, it's just way more easy. And it's like, without even trying, we just naturally bond more with the same sex, the same gender, and you feel that connection, you feel that bond and attraction without even trying. I mean, even when you're trying not to, I've tried all my life to not try, to avoid it, and it hasn't ever worked. It's still there. And it wasn't until God said, stop asking me, that I realized, okay, I need to stop being like this and say, okay, God, give me a different answer. Give me what I want. When he's saying you need to be more open, open to who you are, which I still have a hard time with, but I'm learning. It's just a whole learning experience.
That was a powerful explanation, my man. Really cool stuff, I got to tell you.
Thank you.
The brand new single is Movin. The album is Therapy Sessions. The book is My Little Prayer. Congratulations, man. This was a fantastic interview.
Thank you. Thanks, Arthur.
David, congratulations on everything. Thanks for just raw honesty. And I think your message is really, really powerful and awesome. And it's cool to see someone kind of exposing it all, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we all deal with a lot of crazy shit. Most people have a lot of trouble expressing that, and you're doing a fantastic job. And I'm sure it means a lot to a lot of people who are getting to see it. Thanks for doing it here.
I appreciate it. Thanks,
Good
Arthur.
luck, David. Thanks for being on the show. Take care.
Thanks for having me.